Welcome to Leading with Love. I'm Camiel. Let's talk about paths and direction. When I was 18, I worked at White Castle, and I remember I would catch a bus downtown. There was two buses I had to catch. I would catch one downtown, and I would go into the library. I just loved the atmosphere and the nostalgia from when I was a kid going to the library. And so I would go into there. So after I would leave the library, I would walk down to where my next bus stop was for my next bus to go to the east, to the White Castle that I worked at. I remember just observing everyone that would be downtown. There would be lots of hustle and bustle and people with briefcases, people dressed in suits. And I remember just thinking to myself, I want to feel that important. I want to go to a job where I have to dress up and I want to, have to be in a rush to get somewhere and be important. And I remember just thinking these things when I would be on my way to work. I would always dream about better for myself, and I had these elaborate dreams of being an important person in a career, and I always knew I wanted marriage and children and the whole nine. I come from super humble beginnings, so growing up I was in poor neighborhoods. This is in Louisville, Kentucky. So I remember just looking around me and just feeling that feeling of wanting something more, like wanting something better. I looked around and saw people that were in the same cycles of whether that be drugs or violence, or I just looked around and saw a lot of things that I just didn't want to partake in. So at this point in my life, I was 18 years old, and I was at the time at home. I wasn't in school. I was taken out of school. Then I started to attend an alternative school, just a different way to achieve my credits. And it just wasn't working for me. It was too much with work and school at the same time. So I left that school and tried to get my GED. And so I took the GED test and I failed it. So at this point, I have no high school diploma. I'm at home. If I'm not working, I'm playing video games. I did have a friend. Her name was Danielle Best, and her mother was awesome, Miss D. Shout out to Miss D. And she actually is the person that took me to go and get my permit. And she was a person who was speaking to me about the Air Force. And so at the time, I'm just like, I'm not joining the Air Force. I wasn't thinking about any of that at that time. I was thinking about a better life and seeing better for myself. I just didn't really have a roadmap to get there. I didn't have an example either. So I didn't really have a clear sense of direction, or know the path that I was going to take. But I did listen to her. It was in the back of my mind. I didn't see a positive representation of marriage. My mother was never married. No one around me was married. I didn't really get to see that, but I knew I wanted it. Like, I knew there were things that I wanted that I wasn't seeing a representation of around me. And so I always would sit around and dream. There was this one particular day that I had been sitting around playing video games all day, and I was honestly internally shaming myself because I just felt like I wasn't doing much, and my friend had gone off to college, and I was just kind of sitting around trying to figure out my life, and I didn't know the next step to take. I just knew that I wanted something more, but I didn't know how to put those dreams into reality. And so I checked the mail, and there was some mail for me, and it was mail from the National Guard, and it was just talking about joining the National Guard and what it can do for you. And so I sat and stared at that paper for a very long time because the words of my friend's mother just was like kind of ringing in my head, and I was looking around at my environment. I was looking around at everything that everyone else was doing, and it just didn't fit who I felt I was. It didn't fit me. I didn't want to continue the same cycles of everyone that I was seeing around me. I wanted better for myself, and I knew that it was possible. I just didn't know how. And so this, I felt, was a sign, and it was giving me the how. It was giving me a hint, a clue on the path. And it was giving me more direction. So I joined. It was the biggest leap of faith that I've ever taken on myself. because you're talking about leaving everything that I have ever known, everybody that I've ever known. My mother was super strict, so for the most part I stayed inside. I didn't do much. It was going to be my first time on an airplane, my first time leaving my hometown, my family, all of these things. When I read the paper that came in the mail, it talked about being able to go to college and being able to get my GED through the Army, the program that I would go, it would be a part of my training. And so I was definitely excited and ready, but very, very scared. So I went off the training. I did it. I went through the GED Plus program, passed everything, and went through basic and my advanced individual training. I passed everything and came back. It was a life-changing experience, meeting all those different people from different walks of life and getting different opinions and different wisdom for different people. The drill sergeants there would say things like, you guys are so concerned about getting back and getting home. When you get back, understand that those same people are going to be there and those same people are going to be doing those same things. And it made me think about everything that I thought about before leaving, and it was true. Like it was like the same cycle. And I wanted to do something different and show everyone that, hey, there's a different way that you can do things. The drill sergeants would share so many different pieces of information and different pieces of wisdom, and I was excited to go back and share that information. I was excited to show everyone, hey, we can have more, we can do more. I was just excited to get back and show everyone that. Making the decision to go off to training truly changed the trajectory of my life. My recruiter at the time had to even help me start a bank account because I didn't have one, didn't think about having one, and I had a job at this time. Like, that's the thing. There were so many things that I was naive to, didn't know, and I wasn't taught because that was just the environment that I was in. The people that I was surrounded by had very little knowledge on things. So when I got back, I was super independent. I had my own apartment. I enrolled into college. I graduated from college at 22. I got married, ended up moving to an entirely different state, have 4 children. I'm divorced now, but very happy. I've worked at places like NASA. But I say all this to say that our path or direction may not be clear, and our surroundings may even tell us what we should be, who we should be. Our environment may not match who we feel we are or want to be, or we may feel we want better. Believing it and putting action behind it, I'm a firm believer in the law of attraction and law of assumption. Believing in it and putting action behind it is extremely important to pushing it forward or changing it. If you believe that you can have something different, or you believe that you can have something better, you can. It doesn't matter what your surroundings say. It doesn't matter what your environment says. It doesn't matter what other people are saying. If you believe that you can have more, then you can. If you put action behind it, then it's done. When it comes to growth and expansion and changing directions if needed, or just staying on the path that I know is for me and making moves towards that path, believing in that path, I will always do that. I will always move forward. I'm not stopping here. This is but the beginning for me, and I am grateful for those times where I thought different. I'm grateful for independent thinking. I'm grateful that I believed in myself, that I believed that I could have more. I invite you to believe in you. I invite you to know that you are worth the best and to go for it. This has been Leading with Love. Thank you for joining me. I'm Cameo, and if you like my content, please like and subscribe. Turn on your notification bell as well. Thank you for joining me. Bye.